Hello folks, this is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers for the drawing on June 12th, 2019. If you'd like to get my game Decoding the Powerball, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Thank you, and please subscribe. Okay, so the object of my game is for you to correctly eliminate groups of numbers. There are 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball Lottery. Only 5 numbers can come up as winners, so that means 64 numbers can't come up at all. So for me, I think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. So to help me do that, I'm going to turn to the 5 strategies of my game. So strategy number 1, the game card color code. Okay, so if you've never seen my videos before, why I make them is to show you on how to use my game. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the game card. This is a format that I came up with that represents the 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball Lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize with the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage. And the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 9, 13, 42, 48, and 60. And again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers and I put it at the top of this list, and now I'm going to find out what colors they were. Okay, so the 9 was green, the 13 was purple, the 42 was red, the 48 was purple, and the 60 was blue. Okay, so I'm going to color those in. So again, the 9 was green, the 13 and 48 were purple, the 42 was red, and the 60 was blue. Okay, so now I'm going to count how many colors I have. I have 2 purple, 1 blue, 1 red, 1 green for 4 colors total. Okay, so now I'm going to go up and I'm going to make this 339 color code drawings I kept track of so far. Okay, and now a 4 color combination has now come up 116 times. Okay, but what I want you to look at here is the 3 color combination. This has come up 181 times out of 339 drawings. Okay, so if you do the math real quick, you're going to see that a 3 color combination comes up more than half the time. Okay, and to me that's huge because long term, if I just keep on picking a 3 color combination, I know statistically I'm going to be correct more than half the time. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a new game card. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate all these colors and start from scratch. Okay, so my color code is right here. These are the red numbers, the orange, the green, the blue, and whatever's left is the purple. Okay, so what I did is I took the 69 white ball numbers, I divided it by 5 different colors, and that's 1 color for each of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, and that equals 13.8. So my goal is to get as close to as 13 or 14 numbers per color. Okay, or a good representation of each color. All right, so again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the red numbers, okay, and I call those hot numbers because they just came up, okay, and again, I only do the last 3 drawings, and the reason why is because this will give me a maximum of 15 numbers, okay, so again, I'm going to start with the 9, the 13, the 42, the 48, and the 60, and then the 17, the 23, the 28, the 34, and the 38. And then the last one is 6, 15, 34, which is already taken, the 45, and the 52. Okay, so again, I'm going to mark these red numbers. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to count how many I have. So I have 3 and 4 is 7, 3 is 10, and 4 is 14. So up here, this tells me how many colors I have on the game card. Okay. So now I'm going to move on to the orange area, and I'm going to start with the 3, the 32, the 34, which is already taken, the 42 is taken, 61, then the next line is 1, 2, 39, 43, 66, and then the next line is 7, 10, 20, 44, 57, and then the last line is 2, which is already taken, 10 is taken, 25, 66 is taken, and 67. So I'll make those orange numbers, and I'm going to count how many I have. So I got 4, and 2 is 6, 1 is 7, 3 is 10, 2 is 12, and 3 is 15. Okay, so I think you get how I came up with this color code here. So what I'm going to do is, just to speed things up, I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is the color code for June 12th, 2019. You can see that there was 14 red numbers, 15 orange, turned out to be 14 green numbers, 14 blue, and 12 purple numbers. Okay, so again, more than half the time, a 3-color combination comes up. Okay, so that means more than half the time, 2 colors are not coming up. Okay, and that's what I want to concentrate on here. Okay, so again, the object of the game is to eliminate groups of numbers. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a prediction on what color I don't think is going to come up. Okay, so you can see that all 5 colors, they do come up. It's come up 12 times out of 339 drawings. Okay, so it does come up, but it's very rare. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, my prediction is that no green numbers are going to come up. Okay, and the reason why I'm going to do this, and the thing about this is that we're all going to look at this differently. All right. So we're all going to come up with a different result. But as I look at this and I go down through the history of things, I just see a lot of green. Okay, so even the last 5 drawings here, you can see that a green number has come up in the last 5 drawings. So, you know, I'm just trying to predict what the ebb and flow is going to be here. So I'm going to say that no green numbers are going to come up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to block these numbers out. Okay, so when I block out a number like this, this means that I'm not even going to consider this number when I'm picking what I think will be the 5-way winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm buying a Powerball ticket for $3. So that includes the power play. Okay, so in other words, I'm betting $3 that none of these green numbers will come up in the next drawing. Okay, so if I'm correct with my bet and none of these green numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 2, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers. Okay, so basically what I did is I took the 69 numbers and divided them into 7 different groups. Okay, so here's group number 1. It holds the numbers of 1 through 9. This is the only group with 9 numbers. Okay, the others have 10 for 69 numbers. Okay, so what I do here is you can see that the 9 is right here. So I'm going to update this, and what I do is I'm going to make this square green, okay, because the 9 is green, okay, and the 9 is green because the color code said it was green. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is you can see that again I have 7 groups here. So 1 through 9, then the teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Okay, so now I want to see how many groups got hit. So I have the 1 through 9, so there's one group. Here's another group. The 42 and 48 are in the 40 group, of course, and then the 60, so that hit 4 groups total. Okay, so what I tried to do is try to predict how many groups will be hit in this next drawing. Okay, so you can see that a 4 comes up a lot. Recently, a 5 has been coming up. Okay, but in the past, a 3 has come up a lot. Okay, and this last 10 drawings haven't seen that many 3s, just 2 of them here. Okay, so I'm going to predict this next one is going to be a 3. Okay, so I'm expecting that 3 of these groups will have a hit to it. All right, so let me reduce this down so you can see the whole card, and I'll show you how I use this thing here. Okay, so this big square right here, this is good for 5 drawings. Okay, so I'm up here at the very top. Okay, this is current right here at the top. So why I break it down into 5 is for a couple reasons. Okay, one is it's easier to count the history going back 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and so on. Okay, But my theory is that if there's a bunch of hits within this 5 drawings, then maybe there won't be so many hits in the next 5 drawings, or vice versa. Okay? So again, the object of the game is to eliminate groups of numbers. So I'm going to make a prediction on what group will not be coming up. Okay? And I'm going to go with the 30 group here. Okay? So you can see that there's been 5 hits within these 5 drawings. Okay? The average is around like 3 or 4. Okay? So if you look down here, 3, 2, 3, 3, 1, and then there's a couple that has a bunch more. Okay? But the average is like 3 or 4. So here's 5 right here. So I'm going to predict that no 30 numbers are going to come up. Okay? So I'm going to blow this back up. I'm going to go back to the game card. And I'm going to eliminate the 30 numbers off of the game card. And hopefully none of these 30 numbers will come up. Okay? So now I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 3, the 50-50 picks. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the 50-50 picks. So again, there's 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so there has to be a majority of either odd numbers or even numbers, or numbers to the high side or numbers to the low side. So I like to keep track of this and try to correctly predict what the majority will be for the upcoming drawing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to update this here. I'm going to make this 384. And now I'm going to go back to the game card. And the last drawing, there was an odd, odd, even, even, even. Okay, so 3 evens, 2 odds. Okay, so the majority I highlight. Okay, and now I'm going to make this 186. Okay, so out of 384 drawings, 186 drawings. I'm sorry, I think I never erased that there. Okay, so it should have been 184. So now it's 185. Okay, so sorry about that. But out of 384 drawings, 185 drawings have been the majority of even numbers. 199 drawings have been the majority of odd numbers. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to break things down into 5 here, just because it shows me a majority of things. Okay, so you can see this 5 was the majority of odd numbers, 3 drawings to 2. Okay, and then it was evens, odds, evens, odds, evens, odds. Okay, which is kind of unusual. Okay, you can see a bunch of odds there. So again, it's been evens, odds, evens, odds, evens, odds. So this one's clearly going to be evens, all right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to predict, since there was 4 drawings to the even side, I'm going to predict that this next one is going to be more odd numbers than even numbers, okay? So I'm going to write that down. Okay, just so it reminds me of what my picks are, okay? And now I'm going to move on to the next one. And this is high and low. All the red numbers are considered high numbers. All the blue are considered low. Okay. So there's the 65, 66, and 67 down here in the blue. When those numbers come up, I do record them as low numbers. Okay. So here you can see that the high has won the majority for this 5, 3 drawings to 2. And as I look back into this, you can see that 3 to 2 comes up a lot, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to predict that there's going to be more high numbers than low numbers here, okay? And what's really interesting about this is that this is even, 192 to 192, which to me is amazing that it's so close. But again, I'm going to go with more high numbers than low numbers, so I'm going to write that down. And I'll show you why I write things down in a second, okay? As I move on. So next is left and right here, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to predict that there's going to be more numbers to the left side, okay? Just because there's 189 to 195, and I just think that this left is going to catch up eventually here, okay? So again, I'm going to go with more numbers to the left side than the right side. Okay, and the last one is this red and blue area here. Okay, you can see that the red is way ahead of the blue. Okay, so a lot more numbers have come in this red area than the blue number here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to predict that there's going to be more to the blue area than the red. Okay, eventually I think this blue is going to catch up. Okay, so I'm going to write that down as well. Okay, so last thing I have here is the Powerball number itself, the red number. I do have something for it, okay? So there's 26 red numbers. So in this column right here, basically what I did is I divided the numbers in two, okay? So if you see a blue number, that means low, 1 to 13. If you see a red number, that means it's high, 14 to 26, okay? So as I look at this, you can see that, let me go on to this column here, okay? So if you, on this column, if you see a red number, that means it's odds. If you see a blue number, that means it's evens, okay? So why I do this is now I just look at the colors, okay? So here in this column here, you can see that I got a single red, 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 okay? So 7 in a row here. So I think eventually it's going to double up, okay? So I'm thinking that this is going to be red. So instead of concentrating on all 26 numbers, now I divided it in half. Now I'm just looking at the high numbers of 14 to 26, okay? And over in this column, since there's been 3 blue numbers here, I'm going to say that this next one is going to be red, okay? So now I'm just looking at the high odd numbers, okay? So now I'm just going to concentrate on the 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, and 25 instead of all 26 numbers, okay? I'm not sure what I'm going to go with, but it's going to be a high odd number, okay? So moving on, the next strategy is strategy number 4, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 1. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 1 numbers, okay? So basically what I did is I took all the numbers and divided it into 4 different groups, and I put colors to these groups, okay? So when the 5 white winning Powerball numbers land within these groups, I record where they land down here in the stats, okay? So let me go ahead and do that. So again, the winning numbers were 9, 13, 42, 48, and 60. Okay, so the 9 is in the red here. The 13 is in the blue. The 42 is in the orange. The 48 is in the green. And the 60 is in the orange. Okay, so what I'm going to do, there was 1 in the red, 1 in the blue, 2 in the orange, and 1 in the green. And when that happens, I call that a row, when it hits all 4 colors like that. Okay, so the object of the game is to eliminate groups of numbers. Okay, so you can see down here, there's a 0. That means that for that drawing, no red numbers came up. Okay, and that's what I want to focus on here. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Now for this drawing, if I could have correctly guessed that no red numbers are going to come up, I could have eliminated all these red numbers and gave myself a much better chance at winning some kind of prize in the Powerball Lottery. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this 25, and this means that the last 25 drawings, one of these blue numbers have come up, okay? So for this option card 1, the longest streak was 17 before this, okay? So it's way overdue from the last longest streak, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to predict that none of these blue numbers are going to come up in the next drawing, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and eliminate these blue numbers off of my game card. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, if this 8 was alive, I would eliminate this as well. Okay, so you can see that there's 5 numbers off here to the left, but when I go back to the group 1, you can see that there's no numbers here. Okay, so what I call this is I call it sharing the square. Okay, so I want this grid of 64 right here because it's It's 8 squares down, 8 squares across, okay? But there's 69 numbers, all right? So I had to put 5 numbers within these squares here. So the 8 shares the square with the 66, the 19 with the 67, the 25 with the 65, the 58 with the 68, and the 53 with the 69, okay? So in other words, if I get rid of all these blue numbers like I'm doing, I'm going to get rid of the 8 and the 66 along with all the other numbers here as a group, okay? So basically that's all I'm doing is grouping up numbers and deciding whether they're going to come up or not come up, okay? So moving on, I have 15 of these option cards here. So here's option card number 2. And you can see that I used all the same colors of red, blue, orange, and green, okay? So I'm going to go on to my next pick. And my next pick is right here, option card number 6. I'm going to go with no red numbers. And basically because this has come up 21 drawings in a row here, okay? So I'm going to predict that the 0 is going to be right here. And hopefully I'm correct, because I'm going to get rid of all these red numbers off of my game card. Okay, so here's the 65, so I'm going to get rid of that 25. The 67, so I'll get rid of that 19. Okay, so hopefully none of those numbers come up, all right? So going back to group 1, again, I have 15 of these option cards. And my next guess is going to be option card number 12. No orange numbers. And the reason why I'm taking this is because, for one, there was 4 rows in a row here, okay? So when that happens, you know, it could go 5, it could go 6, 7, 8, you know, who knows how long it will go. But I'm going to predict that there's going to be a 0 here somewhere. And I'm just going to go with the most obvious one, and that's the 18. 18 drawings in a row here, okay? So I'm going to get rid of these orange numbers. And that's the 2, all these, and the 26. Okay, so that's all I'm going to pick out of this group 1. Let me just keep on going, show you option card 13, 14, and 15. Okay, so now I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 5, picking the numbers I hope I'll miss from group 2. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 2 numbers. Okay, so much like group 1, where I divided things into 4 different groups, here I divided things into 8 different groups. Okay, so the big difference is that there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so I know that 3 of these color groups cannot have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess what color group will not have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so let me update this. So I'll go back to the game card. The game card. And again, the numbers were 9, 13, 42, 48, and 60. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find those numbers. So the 9 was in the red. The 13 is in the purple. 42 is in the blue. 48 is in the yellow. And the 60 is in the green. So I have 8 different colors here, of course. Red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. And I have 15 of these option cards as well. And they all have the same colors to it. It's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other from each different option card. Okay? So, again, I like to read things from left to right. So I'm going to go with the 9, the red, in the red, 42 in the blue, 60 in the green, 13 purple, and 48 yellow. So I got red, blue, green, purple, yellow. So down here is current. Okay, so I have 1 in the red, that 9, 1 in the blue, that 42. No winning Powerball numbers in the orange area. 1 in the green, that's 60. 1 in the purple, that 13. No winning Powerball numbers in the brown area. no winning Powerball numbers in the gray area, and 1 in that yellow, the 48. Okay, so how many groups did I hit? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to keep this 5 red because the majority of the numbers are over here to the left side, okay? The red, blue, and green, okay? So why I do that is because for some reason, if I want to go back into the history and I look at this 3 and it's green, that tells me that the majority of the numbers were over here to the right side, okay? So that's all that is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the background red because the majority is red here, okay? So I'm going to do that here. What I'm going to do is, this is on the verge, it's equal. Here, here, and here, I'm going to make yellow just to stand out. This I'm going to color the background blue because it's cold, okay? And these two I'm going to color the background red. Okay, so why I do that is I'm going to start up here, okay? So again, I like to break things down in 5 because it shows me a majority of things. So here you can see that the majority is misses, 3 zeros, okay? So when that happens, I color the background blue for cold, okay? And the one below it, you can see that there was 3 hits out of 5, so I color the background red for hot, okay? So I know that the lottery is random. We all know that, right? So this is what random looks like, okay? So what I do is, when I see something like this where it's been really, really hot, well, I know it's going to turn cold eventually. I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen, okay? So as I go down, what I'm going to do is, I highlighted these yellow, but, you know, this next drawing, it's either going to be blue or it's going to be red. And that's what I like. I only like 2 options, not a bunch of options, okay? So now I just got to figure out, make my best guess on what I think is going to be blue, okay? And what I'm going to go with is neither of these yellow things. I'm going to go with this blue area right here, just because it's been 8 drawings in a row. I think the 0 is going to be right here, okay? So we'll see what happens, but I'm going to get rid of these blue numbers. So I'm going to get rid of the 2 down to the 68 off of my game card. I'll get rid of the 10, the 18, the 42, and the 50. And the 58 shares the square with the 68, so I'll get rid of that as well. Okay, so the reason why I have these numbers off here to the left and not crammed in, not have the 58 and the 68 crammed in with each other, is because of the color code. You know, the 58 could be red and the 68 could be purple. So, you know, I need that separation. Okay, so moving on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a prediction here for option card number 2, and that's no red numbers. So as I scroll down, you can see that things got really, really hot through here. And now I think the 0 is going to be right here. Okay? So we'll see what happens, and I'm going to get rid of these red numbers of 1 over to the 66. And you can see that there's nothing there, okay? So the thing is that just because there's nothing there, I don't really want to go back and make another pick, okay? Right now, how things stand is that the average, if I take the average of all 15 option cards, the average is 4, okay? Like over here, you can see a bunch of 4s, okay? 4, 4, you haven't seen a 4 here in a little while, okay? But the average is 4. That means that 4 of these color groups are going to have a hit to it, and 4 of these color groups are going to have a miss to it, okay? So that's my best odds right now. It's kind of 50-50 that I'm going to get this right, okay? But if I come back, if this red is correct, and the 0 does come up here, and I come back for another pick here on this option card number 2, my odds go way up that I'm going to get it wrong, okay? So instead of doing that, I'm just going to move on to the next option card. That's why I gave myself so many options here, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with no blue numbers here. I think the 0 is going to be right here. Okay, so we'll see what happens, and I'm going to get rid of these blue numbers, and that's the 1 and the 38. So here's the 38. I'll get rid of the 46 and the 54. Okay, so I'm going to go back to option card number 4 now, and I'm going to go with no red numbers. Okay, so as I scroll down, you see that things got pretty hot down through here, so I think the 0 is going to be right here. So we'll see what happens. And I'm going to get rid of these red numbers, the 5 and the 33. And there's nothing to get rid of. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next one. Option card number 5, I'm going to go with no blue numbers. So it got pretty hot through here, and now I think the 0 is going to be right here. So we'll see what happens. And I'll get rid of this blue, and I don't think there's anything there. There's not. So moving on to the next one. Number 6, I'm going to get rid of the yellow. Okay, so as I scroll down through, you see that things got pretty hot down through here. Plus it's been 7 drawings in a row, so I think the 0 is going to be right here. So we'll see what happens. And I'll get rid of these yellow, and that's the 2, 9, 18, 65 all the way down. So I'll get rid of the 57. And hopefully that 57 doesn't come up. Okay? So moving on, the option card number 7. Oops. I am going to go with no brown numbers. Okay, you can see that brown's been pretty hot down through here, and I just think that it's going to stay cold for a little while. So I think the 0 will be right here in the brown area. And you can see that, you know, it's all gone. So there's no brown to eliminate. So I'm going to move on to number 8. And I couldn't make a decision, so I'm going to move on to number 9. Yeah, that's the thing. You don't have to pick at every single one of them. Just the ones that you feel comfortable with. So here I'm going to go with blue. So as I scroll down through, you see things got really, really hot here. Okay, and now I think the 0 is going to be right here. So we'll see what happens, and I'm going to get rid of the blue numbers. And that's the 227, the pattern of 227 on the left and 1621 on the right. So I'll get rid of the 59, the 48, 69. So hopefully none of those numbers come up. Okay, so moving on to option card number 10. I couldn't make a decision, so I'm going to keep going to option card number 11, and I'm going to go with no brown. Okay, so as I scroll down through, you're going to see that things got pretty hot here, and I'm going to think that the 0 is right here. So we'll see what happens, and I'm going to get rid of these brown numbers, which is the 37 and 52. That's all that matters now. So I'll get rid of the 45, 52, and 60. Hopefully those numbers don't come up. Okay. And then moving on, I couldn't make a decision on option card 12, so I'll move on to 13. And I'm going to say no red numbers. Okay, so as I scroll down through, you can see that this has been really, really hot. And now I think the 0 is going to be right here. Okay, so we'll see what happens. And I'm going to get rid of these red numbers, the 65 and the 61. I'll get rid of the 61 and the 55. Okay, so we're getting down there. I got 4 and 2 is 6, so I need to get rid of one more. Okay, so option card 14, I couldn't make a decision. So I'm going to go with 15, no purple numbers. Okay, so as I scroll down through, you see that things got pretty hot here. Now I think it's going to stay cold, so I think the 0 is going to be right here. And that's going to get rid of the 49. So I'll get rid of that 49. And that will leave me with 5 numbers. Okay, so I'm going to go with the 43, the 44, the 47, the 51, and the 63. Okay, so let me just highlight those. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the individual numbers and I'm going to take a look at things. Okay, so starting out with the 40s. Okay, so there'll be 3 more numbers here, and I guess that could happen. All right, anything could happen really. The 51, and then the 63. So it is what it is. Hopefully I made all the correct picks, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so what are the odds that I made all the correct picks? Okay, so let me go to the odds. The odds for the grand prize, okay, and the grand prize right now is up to 66 million. Okay, so you got to get all 5 white balls and a red ball correct. Okay, and the odds of doing that are 1 in 292 million. Okay, my goal is to get all 5 white balls correct. If I get the red ball, then bonus, right? But the odds of doing that are 1 in 11,600,000. Okay, a nice prize is certainly 4 white balls and a red ball. That would pay 50,000 plus the power play if you play it. Okay, the odds of doing that are just about 1 in a million. More realistic odds are getting 4 white balls correct. That pays $100 plus the power play if you play it. That's 1 in 14,500. Okay, and 3 white balls will pay $7 plus the power play. Okay, so if you get the red ball correct, that's $4 plus the power play as well. Okay, so I just want you to know that if you spend $3 on a Powerball ticket, drawing is twice a week, so over a year you would spend $312 per year. Okay, so in closing, I want to thank you for watching. Okay, if you would like to support my channel, then please go to my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/Decoding the Powerball. Okay, and as always, I want to wish you the best of luck with your picks.